All right, what's going on, guys? It's Vince, and today is June 21st. I'm a little late on this one, but we have Varlamore, The Final Dawn, launching July 23rd. Official blog post going over some of the content that we're getting. So, very exciting. Again, sorry for being late. I was out of town, but we're going to go over it, and hopefully you guys enjoy. Maybe put this on while you're working, or just listen while you're AFKing something or bossing. I don't know. But Varlamore, The Final Dawn releases July 23rd, so we're just about a month away now. Over the past year, you ventured into the Shining Kingdom and braved the rising darkness. On July 23rd, in Varlamore's final major content edition, you'll experience The Final Dawn. You'll begin to hear much more from us about Varlamore, The Final Dawn in July. It's exciting. But for now, we wanted to share the release date with you and offer a short reminder of all the content that will be arriving alongside The Final Dawn. Got a nice little promotional photo there as well. Final Dawn Quest. Closing chapter of our Varlamore area expansion brings with it the conclusion of the accompanying quest series. The Master tier finale is called The Final Dawn, and we'll see you explore the history of Varlamore and the fate of the mysterious Old Ones. We want you to discover the twists and turns of this thrilling story yourself, but check the quest requirements below so you can be ready to get stuck in on July 23rd. My guess is the old ones here. If you see the people in the background on the left and right, it's kind of under the snake head. I don't know why it's not showing. There we go. There's my mouse. Right here and here. It looks like you venture into this big pyramid with the tree at the top. So pretty exciting. Should be fun. Another quest that I have to do to get my quest cape back. But no. My guess is you have to go in there, and that these are the old ones that they're talking about right here. So, quest requirements, you're going to need 66 thieving, 52 rune crafting, 52 fletching, and completed the Heart of Darkness and Perilous Moons, which is all to be expected. Pretty low requirements. Hopefully that shouldn't be too long or difficult of a quest. But they seem to have an approach recently where they want more people to be able to do the quest itself. Not the quest itself, but the content itself. Excuse me. So, I don't think it should be too bad because they want everyone to get all the unlocks and whatnot. So, and with those quest requirements, seems pretty easy. Now, the big boss of this blog post, the Doom of Makheotl. The Doom is a delve boss, and delve bosses are a totally different beast to what you fought before. Upon defeating Doom, we're assuming, of course, you're capable of such a feat. You'll choose between leaving with your loot or fighting an even tougher version of the monster in hopes of a bigger prize. So this is similar to Colosseum, where at the end, so you're not going to choose a debuff or an invocation, if you will, but you will get to see what loot you have, and from there you're going to decide if you want to continue the fight or just claim your loot. But the fight will get harder each time. The boss will become increasingly challenging and the rewards increasingly lucrative, capping at level 8, though you can continue to delve as many times as you like, keeping the level 8 cap. So it looks like the level 8 cap is kind of just a difficulty cap, not a replayability cap. So if you die, any loot you've earned so far will be lost and you'll be left empty-handed. When the Doom is defeated, it will descend further into its burrow. Defeating it on the deeper levels increases the chance of receiving unique drops, and some unique drops will only appear at deeper, more dangerous levels. I think that's really cool. You must make all your delve progress in a single run, as returning to the surface will reset you back to delve level 1. Very, very cool. Again, as they said, very different from what we've seen so far, and should be exciting. It's just different content, or different type of content. The primary benefit to increasing your delve level is increasing your chance to snag unique rewards, including the new Eye of Aak, a new one-handed magic weapon, the Avernic Treads, which are a new pair of boots that allow you to combine Pegasian, Primordial, and Eternal boots for the ultimate Tribrid footwear, and the Confliction Gauntlets, which offer an upgrade to the Tormented Bracelet. The quantities of basic loot remain relatively consistent, which means that no matter how long you survive, you won't be overloaded with general resources. See, I don't mind getting overloaded with general resources, even if it is bad for the game, but like, it's cool that you just kind of go further, and from there you get the better chances at the uniques. All right. There'll be 8 delve levels in total, each increasing in difficulty. You can keep repeating the hardest difficulty for as long as you can survive, but remember that if you do succumb to the doom, you'll lose everything. If you haven't seen it yet, we recommend checking out this trailer from the RuneFest Summit right there. I can link that in the description. And for a deeper dive on the Doom of Macayatl, take a look at the dedicated blog here, which I will also link, but it looks like this. It has all of the items. Next, we have Auburnvale and Fletching. If you're skilling inclined, you might want to swing by Auburnvale. This town on the north coast of Varlamore has had some tough times, but their beautiful forests are second to none. They're also inhabited by magical Ents who are keen to help you recycle all those bows cluttering up your bank. So this is essentially similar to Mastering Mixology. It's some sort of fletching minigame, and you're going to be able to use all the extra bows that you have in your bank. So if you have a bunch of extra bows from fletching, this is going to be really useful here. Ents roam the forest, leaving offerings as they praise the land. Join them and connect to nature while leveling your fletching skills. Whittle totems in the likeness of the local wildlife and decorate them with leftover bows, crossbow stocks, and shield. If they impress the local Ents, you'll receive XP and other rewards. So this is a really interesting idea. Basically, from what I gather from this, you essentially make totems. You fletch these totems, and you can use the bows, the crossbows, and the shields to decorate the totems for extra XP and make use of these old items that you have, since we just have so many of them. So very interesting with the totem inclusion here, and doing this in the form of making totems. Rewards from the fletching activity include the fletching knife, an offhand bit of equipment which will reduce some crafts by 1 tick and works for any action that requires a knife check. The bowstring spool, which can store bowstrings and save inventory space, and at ladle dart crafting, requiring 74 fletching. You also can get the cosmetic Greenman mask and 2 new player-owned house decorations. You want to read the full fletching activity breakdown, you can check the dedicated blog here. Again, I can link that in the description as well. But the main draw for this mini game here is the fletching knife. So it basically just reduces 1 tick for actions that require the knife. So it's going to make fletching a lot quicker for a lot of activities, and the XP is going to skyrocket for a lot of these because it saves a whole tick. Next, I don't think we've seen this before. The Custodia Pass Slayer Dungeon. The Custodia Pass is a hostile stretch of rocky ground that marks the border between Varlamore and Corend, and it's the perfect hunting ground for Slayer enthusiasts. After completing a quest, probably the Final Dawn, you'll gain access to a new Slayer dungeon teeming with creatures to slay. The Custodia Stalkers found within will drop the Antler Guard, a new tradable offhand weapon which focuses on prayer and offensive bonuses, but with negative defensive bonuses. So this is going to be interesting. I'm curious where this is going to stand. I don't know if they released the stats on the Antler Guard. I actually want to see real quick. They've released the stats on this because, okay, so it's a Tribrid offhand for the Final Dawn, and it has comparable stats to a Rune Defender, an Odium Ward, and a Book of Darkness, but with large negative defensive bonuses. So it's negative 15 in all of your defensive bonuses, but it does have a +5 melee strength, plus 15 melee attack bonus, and plus 9 magic and ranged bonus with a +5 prayer. Real quick, the Rune Defender, if you'd like to compare, also has a +5 strength. Okay, so it's going to be a Tribrid offhand in the form of an Antler Guard, but it's going to be comparable to like a Rune Defender. So if you're end game and you're not needing to Tribrid, you're probably not going to use this all that much, but it is going to be cool for like adding to the mid game. Next, I'm actually, even though I'm a maxed like end game player, I'm really excited for this, the Gemstone Crab. On the shores of the Baladi rainforest lives a crab, not just any crab. This crab is massive and covered with gems. Follow a trail of small crabs to find the gemstone crab and fight it together with your friends. So this is in response to all of the sand crabs, and I think the old rock crabs. I think they're rock crabs, but yeah, the current sand crabs that people fight on Fossil Island. You're instead going to be able to do this. It's supposed to be a relatively AFK boss that you can sit there and just train your melee stats with. I'm curious to see if they'll have an instance where you can just solo it, or if everyone's just gonna be smacking this with a big boss fight. So, and then you get gems from it as loot. So this reminds me a lot of the Scurious release, where basically everybody just gets massive amounts of KC on this. I think Scurious is up to like, it's got to be like 20,000 at this point. But you have certain bosses like this where people can just AFK them. And honestly, with the additions of bosses like Yama and some of the other harder bosses that we've got recently, it's nice to be able to kind of go back to that old school style of bosses like KBD, bosses like Calfight Queen, and just those like basic like click boss do damage encounters where you're not going to get anything from them that's notable, but it just has that old feel to it that brings you back and hits you with a little bit of nostalgia. So I'm excited just to go fight this and see just how much kills I can get, and like if it's AFK enough where I can literally just leave it on my other monitor and like do work on the side and just see like, okay, can I get like, 5,000 kills on the gemstone crab just for shits and giggles. So it's gonna be more fun for people that are in the mid game that need like combat XP, but it's gonna be fun just to see it for me, just to like rack up KC and see what the high scores are gonna look like. I always enjoy that sort of thing. So next we have a new Nagua. A new type of Nagua will be added, which will drop the Earthbound Tech Podle as a reward. This is a two-handed twin weapon requiring 50 attack to wield. I don't think I saw much on that. But if it's a twin-bound weapon, maybe this is like the opposite of the twin flame staff. So, similar to how we get like the twin staff, which is fire and water, this, my guess would be like an earth and air staff, maybe, if it's a twin weapon. I don't know if I saw anything else on that. So, but, and again, it is out July 23rd. That's it from us for now, but we'll be bringing you more Varlamore updates near to the release date. And rest assured, just like with the Shining Kingdom and the Rising Darkness, the Final Dawn is far more than just the major features you see listed above. Cute new critters, enigmatic characters, and beautiful new locations await you. And as always, it is signed the old school team with all of the mods. So very exciting. Again, Varlamore, the Final Dawn, coming out July 23rd. We have a brand new quest, brand new endgame boss, some fletching, a new Slayer dungeon, and the Gemstone Crab, and the new Nagua. So I'm very curious to see the Doom of Makeatl and the Gemstone Crab personally. So those are going to be two new fun bosses for new players and endgame players alike. But anyway, very short one today, but just briefly kind of going over and giving a little bit more information on Varlamore the Final Dawn. And we got a release date, July 23rd. So again, I'm back. I'm going to be doing streams. I'm going to be doing more blog posts and maybe even a series. I have a couple ideas in mind. So if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. I would love for you guys to comment and give me your thoughts. But other than that, I will see you later. Peace.